When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won, where the place? Upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. Macbeth is a nobleman fighting in a war for his king Duncan. After a big battle, Macbeth and his friend Banquo stumble across 3 witches. They greet Macbeth by name and call him the ruler of Glamis, the ruler of Cawdor, and say he's going to be king. They also tell Banquo his children will be kings. All this is very confusing because neither of them are in line for the throne and someone else is ruling Cawdor. But as soon as the witches leave, another lord comes to tell Macbeth that Duncan has made him Thane of Cawdor. This raises some expectations, but when Duncan makes a big public announcement about who's going to be the next king, he chooses not Macbeth, but his son Malcolm. In the meantime, Macbeth sent a letter to his sexy wife telling her about the witch's prophecy. She worries that her husband is not vicious enough to take the crown by himself, and calls on evil spirits to unsex her and make her full of cruelty. Macbeth returns, and she greets him, passionate about his successes and the fact that the king is staying in their castle that night. The Macbeths welcome Duncan to their castle and plot to murder him. Macbeth has his doubts about the ethics of murdering the king, but Lady M is ruthless and convinces him to do it. He follows invisible daggers off stage to murder Duncan, but makes a muck of the task, forgetting to frame the drugged guards, freaking out, and bringing the bloody daggers back with him. Lady M finishes the job, and by the end of the scene, both of their hands are stained in blood. When the king is found dead, his sons Malcolm and Donalbain flee the country, and just as the witches prophesied, Macbeth becomes king. Then things start going downhill. The other lords are suspicious. Macbeth worries that Banquo's children will take his throne, so he sends murderers. Banquo is killed, but his son Fleance escapes. There's a royal banquet where Banquo's ghost comes and terrorizes Macbeth. Lady M tries to smooth everything over, but the noblemen leave thinking that Macbeth is deranged, murderous, and unfit to rule. Macbeth is not satisfied with merely being king, and isolating himself from his wife, he goes back to the witches to find out more. In a spectacularly creepy scene, they tell him to beware Macduff, but that none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. And furthermore, he will not be vanquished until Birnam Wood come to the castle of Dunsinane. Macduff followed Malcolm into exile, and while Macduff is gone, Macbeth sends murderers to slaughter his entire household. Wife, children, servants, all that can be found. When Ross tells Macduff this tragic news, Malcolm and Macduff gather an army to return and to destroy Macbeth. Lady Macbeth now walks and talks in her sleep. The doctor and servants who tend her hear her tell her secrets, and later find her dead, just as the castle is surrounded by an army. The army has hidden its numbers by carrying branches hacked from Birnam Wood, and as they moved, the forest came with them. Macbeth goes to fight them and kills many until he faces Macduff, when he boldly proclaims that none of woman born can kill him, and finds that Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped, so not technically born. They fight, Macduff kills Macbeth, brings his head to Malcolm, and the play ends with Malcolm inviting everyone to see him crowned at Scone.